Kayla stepped off the transport shuttle, her boots crunching against the dusty red soil of the arena world. The air was thick, dry, and carried a metallic tang, as if the planet itself had survived countless storms and still bore the scars of its harsh past. Around her, the landscape stretched like a battlefield frozen in time. Jagged rocks, deep crevices, and patches of sharp, thorny plants that could slice through a boot if one stepped carelessly. She pulled her cloak tighter around her shoulders, not for warmth. She had survived far colder nights on her homeworld, but for focus. Every step she took carried purpose. Every movement was measured. Kayla was a Deathworlder, born on a planet where the weak did not survive, where the sun scorched the land and the storms could tear a person apart in minutes. She had learned to endure, to observe, and to wait. Patience, she knew, was often stronger than brute force. The arena's gates loomed ahead, massive and covered in ancient symbols. They reminded her of the old ruins on her homeworld, structures that had lasted centuries despite storms, predators, and war. She took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the dry, metallic air. Around her, other competitors shuffled nervously, adjusting their armor, checking their weapons, and casting wary glances at one another. Kayla's presence seemed almost invisible to them. She wore simple gear, a flexible chest plate, reinforced boots, and bracers that showed no signs of unnecessary decoration. Nothing flashy, nothing to draw attention. Yet beneath that quiet appearance, her body was honed like the edge of a blade, and her mind was sharp, always calculating, always learning. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena, carried by speakers that seemed to vibrate the very ground. Competitors, welcome to the grand arena. Today, the mightiest warriors from across the galaxy will test their strength, skill, and courage. Prepare to face your destiny. The crowd erupted in cheers. Kayla could hear the echoes of excitement, the anticipation of thousands of eyes fixed on the arena floor. Most of them had come to see spectacle, to see combatants fall in spectacular fashion. Few, she thought, would expect her to survive the opening rounds. Her first opponent was introduced. His name was Tarn, a heavily armored man with a broad chest and arms that looked like tree trunks. He had fought in dozens of arenas before and never lost. His helmet gleamed under the artificial sun, and his weapon, a massive axe, gleamed menacingly. Tarn grinned when he saw Kayla, a look that said, "You are weak, you are small, you will fall." Kayla said nothing. She didn't need to. Words were often wasted on those who refused to see beyond appearances. Instead, she observed him, noting the way he held his weapon, the slight stiffness in his right knee, the confident tilt of his shoulders. Every detail mattered. Every detail could be used. The gates opened, and the arena floor spread before them. The ground was a mixture of sand, stone, and patches of jagged metal. Towers of rubble and broken machinery offered hiding spots, while pits and traps hinted at danger. Kayla's eyes scanned the layout quickly, memorizing the safest paths, the most advantageous positions, and the likely approaches of her opponents. Tarn charged almost immediately, his heavy boots pounding the ground. The crowd cheered, eager for blood, eager for a quick victory. Kayla's lips curved in the faintest hint of a smile. She had expected him to rush. Impulsive fighters rarely survived against someone trained to wait. When Tarn swung his massive axe, Kayla didn't dodge. She didn't flinch. She stayed perfectly still, her eyes locked on him. For a moment, the arena seemed to hold its breath. The axe struck the ground just where she had been standing, and the force of the blow caused a cloud of dust to rise. Then Kayla moved, but not with speed. She moved with precision. She shifted her weight, pivoted, and let Tarn's momentum carry him forward. His massive body toppled over, crashing onto the ground with a sound that echoed across the arena. The crowd gasped, the noise cutting into a stunned silence. Even Tarn's fellow competitors blinked in disbelief. Kayla didn't celebrate. She simply took a step back, her eyes sweeping the arena. Other challengers began to appear, more heavily armed, more coordinated. They didn't attack immediately, but their eyes betrayed their curiosity and caution. This small, quiet girl had just bested a champion, and she hadn't even lifted a weapon. The announcer's voice broke the tension. Incredible. The Deathworlder girl shows unmatched composure. Can she survive the next round? The crowd erupted again, some cheering, some whispering, others simply staring in awe. Kayla knew that the fight had only just begun. The arena would not wait. Survival meant more than defeating one opponent. It meant enduring wave after wave, outsmarting strategies designed to trap her, and facing enemies who relied on strength, technology, and fear to dominate. She moved silently to a nearby pile of rubble, using it as cover. From here, she could see the patterns of the arena. The shifting traps, the hidden pits, the way the metal floors reflected light in ways that could reveal a position. Every detail was a clue. Every shadow a potential danger. Her mind drifted, briefly to home, to the harsh landscapes where she had trained since childhood. Every survival lesson, every storm faced, every predator fought. These memories strengthened her resolve. She was a product of extremes, molded by a world that demanded resilience. Here, on this alien arena, she would apply those lessons in full. Tarn groaned as he pushed himself up. He looked around, confused and angry, not expecting defeat from someone so seemingly fragile. Kayla didn't give him the satisfaction of eye contact. She didn't need to. Her presence alone, her calm and calculated movements, spoke louder than any words. Other competitors began to move, circling her, trying to gauge her reactions, trying to intimidate her into making a mistake. They were fast, armed with swords, energy blasters, and spears designed to pierce armor. Yet Kayla's mind raced ahead, predicting their moves, calculating trajectories and finding openings where they had not anticipated. The arena itself seemed alive, as though it reacted to the tension. Lights shifted, shadows lengthened, and subtle changes in the floor hinted at hidden dangers. Kayla's sharp eyes caught each detail. She moved silently, stepping from shadow to shadow, her body coiled and ready, a predator among prey. She didn't need to strike yet. In her world, survival often meant waiting, observing, and striking at the perfect moment. Patience was not weakness, it was power. And Kayla had patience in abundance. The crowd, meanwhile, began to sense that this girl was different. Whispers spread through the stands. She is calm. She does not fear. She does not rush. Even seasoned arena veterans leaned forward, trying to understand how someone so small and quiet could command such presence. The announcer's voice returned, tinged with excitement. Competitors and spectators alike witnessed the skill of a true Deathworlder. Can anyone survive the calm before the storm? Kayla's eyes scanned the horizon. More opponents would come, bigger challenges, faster adversaries, and perhaps even mechanized threats awaited. But she was ready. Every step she had taken, every hardship she had endured had prepared her for this moment. And then, in the silence before the next wave, Kayla allowed herself the briefest thought. Let them come. I am ready. Her first victory had been quiet, almost unremarkable to an untrained eye. But in reality it had been decisive. Tarn's fall was more than a defeat, it was a warning. The Deathworlder girl was not to be underestimated, and as the sun, or the artificial light of the arena, glinted off her calm expression, it was clear to anyone paying attention that she had come not just to survive, but to dominate. The arena's gates rumbled again, signaling the arrival of the next challengers. Kayla took a deep breath, flexing her fingers, ready to face the storm that would soon descend. She did not fear them. She did not hesitate. The Deathworlder instincts that had kept her alive through countless disasters now guided her perfectly. This was only the beginning. The rumble of the arena gates echoed across the dusty floor. Kayla's sharp eyes flicked toward the openings. This time, it was not just one opponent. Several combatants emerged in unison, moving with coordinated precision. Some carried energy blades that hummed as they cut through the air. Others had reinforced armor that glinted like polished metal under the artificial sun. Kayla adjusted her stance. She did not flinch, nor did she panic. Her calm presence alone unsettled her adversaries. She had faced far worse conditions on her homeworld, storms that could shred skin, predators that hunted in packs, and terrain so deadly that a single misstep could end life instantly. Compared to that, this arena was a puzzle, a test, but one she could solve. The first wave advanced quickly, spreading out to surround her. Their leader, a burly man named Ravik, barked orders. "Surround her! Don't let her breathe! Take her down fast!" Kayla's eyes swept the battlefield. She noticed every detail, the slight delay in Ravik's footwork, the uneven grip on the energy blades, and the shadow patterns cast by the arena's light towers. Each of these small hints became part of her strategy. Her survival depended not on sheer force but on observation, timing, and adaptability. The crowd roared in excitement, sensing the tension. This was the part of the games they loved most. Multiple opponents against one, the ultimate test of skill and courage. Yet Kayla remained still, almost statuesque, letting the first attackers close the distance. The first strike came from a tall fighter wielding a double-edged spear. He lunged at her, aiming to overwhelm her quickly. Kayla sidestepped, not with speed but with perfect timing, allowing his own momentum to carry him past her. He stumbled forward, almost colliding with the jagged rocks behind him. Ravik shouted in frustration, "Keep her in one place, don't let her escape." Kayla didn't escape. Instead, she moved strategically, guiding her attackers into positions that would work against them. She nudged a heavy metal panel with her foot, creating a noisy distraction. Two of the fighters turned to investigate, leaving a gap between them and the others. She acted. A swift step, a low sweep of her foot, and one of the advancing fighters tripped, his energy blade clattering to the ground. Another lunged at her from the side, but Kayla anticipated the attack. Using a combination of leverage and balance, she pushed him toward the edge of a shallow pit. The crowd gasped as he stumbled, barely catching himself. Kayla's movements were precise, almost effortless. Every action had a purpose. She didn't fight for glory or for excitement. She fought to survive, to prove that a human, even from a harsh death world, could endure and outsmart opponents far stronger or faster than herself. Ravik's squad adjusted their approach, trying to use numbers to their advantage. They circled her, forcing her into the center of their formation. But Kayla had already predicted this. She noted the uneven spacing, the slight hesitation in their coordination, and the blind spots created by their focus on her. With a sudden burst, she pivoted, placing herself behind the nearest combatant. Using his momentum, she shoved him into two others, creating a domino effect. The metallic clangs and the thud of bodies colliding echoed through the arena. The crowd erupted in cheers, witnessing the Deathworlder girl turning the odds against her adversaries. One of the attackers, a young woman with a whip-like energy weapon, lunged at Kayla from above a small ramp. Kayla leaped lightly, using the tip of the ramp to spring herself higher. She landed silently behind her opponent, and in a swift motion she redirected the whip into the ground, causing it to coil and trap the young woman's own legs. The girl struggled, shouting in frustration. Kayla's calm demeanor never wavered. She moved like water, flowing around obstacles, adjusting to every challenge the arena threw at her. The crowd began to sense something extraordinary. They had expected spectacle, yes, but this was something more. Strategy, intelligence, and human ingenuity at its finest. Ravik's voice grew louder, more desperate. "Stop her! She's too clever!" Kayla noted his desperation as yet another weakness. Fear, even in a leader, could cloud judgment. She baited him toward a section of the arena where spikes jutted from the floor. He lunged without caution, attempting to force her into a corner. Kayla sidestepped gracefully, letting his own charge carry him forward. He skidded across the jagged ground, sustaining a minor injury to his shoulder. Meanwhile, other attackers tried different tactics. One swung a heavy hammer, attempting to break her defenses. Kayla ducked just in time, letting the hammer crash into a rock behind her. Sparks flew, drawing gasps from the crowd. She used the moment of chaos to roll past two more enemies, positioning herself in the center of the arena once again. Time seemed to slow around Kayla. She could feel the rhythm of the arena, The movements of her opponents, the changing shadows, the faint vibrations of the floor beneath her boots, each detail was a signal, a clue. Humans, she reminded herself, could adapt in ways others could not. Speed, strength, and technology were limited, but the mind, strategy, anticipation, creativity, was limitless. One by one, Kayla began to reduce her opponent's advantage. A man with an energy shield charged toward her. Instead of attacking head-on, she feigned weakness, stepping slightly to the side. He overcommitted, using too much force, and his momentum carried him past her. Kayla lightly pushed him forward with a precise motion of her hand, and he stumbled into a pit trap hidden beneath loose metal plates. The crowd exploded. Cheers, shouts, and applause filled the arena. Kayla didn't move toward them. She didn't celebrate. She didn't even glance at the audience. Her focus remained entirely on the remaining opponents. She knew the fight was far from over. Numbers could overwhelm even the strongest mind if one became careless. Two attackers, working together, tried to flank her. Kayla noticed the subtle signs of coordination, eye contact, slight gestures, and mirrored footwork. Recognizing the pattern, she acted. She feigned vulnerability, luring them toward each other. Just as they converged, she twisted her body, using their own momentum to spin them into a pair of jagged rocks. Both fell with heavy thuds, groaning in frustration. The arena echoed with every sound, clangs of weapons, shouts of competitors, and the murmurs of an astonished crowd. Kayla moved calmly through it all, each step measured, each decision calculated. By the time the dust began to settle, half of the first wave had already been incapacitated. Ravik realized he was losing control. His face twisted in anger, his confidence faltering. Kayla's calmness, her precision, and her understanding of the arena had given her the upper hand. It wasn't brute strength that won battles. It was intelligence, observation, and timing. The remaining attackers hesitated. They were cautious now, unsure of how to approach her. Kayla used this moment to reposition, moving closer to a narrow corridor where the terrain favored her. She would funnel them, one by one, into positions where their strength would be less effective. The crowd noticed the change. What began as excitement at seeing the underdog survive turned into awe at witnessing her mastery. "She is unstoppable," someone shouted from the stands. Another voice replied, "No, it's more than that. It's genius." Kayla's eyes met Ravik's for the briefest moment. He was furious, frustrated by his team's repeated failures. But she remained calm, almost indifferent. Her focus was not on him, it was on the challenge itself. The arena was a test, and she intended to pass with skill and precision. The final skirmish of the wave came swiftly. A duo of heavily armored fighters attempted a coordinated charge. Kayla assessed the timing, the distance, and the force they would bring. With a combination of sidestep, leverage, and the subtle use of terrain, she redirected their attack toward each other. Both stumbled, and in the chaos, she used their momentum to push them into a shallow trench. By the time the first wave ended, Kayla stood alone. Her breathing was steady, her movements calm, her expression unreadable. The crowd was on its feet, cheering wildly. Whispers of admiration and astonishment filled the arena. They had expected her to fall quickly, perhaps with some small resistance. Instead, she had turned the tide against overwhelming odds. Kayla did not celebrate. She knew that more challenges awaited. The arena had many layers, and her survival depended on constant focus, adaptation, and awareness. But for a brief moment, she allowed herself to feel the quiet satisfaction of mastery. She had survived the first wave, and she knew with complete certainty that this was only the beginning. The arena floor, once scattered with defeated fighters, now appeared like a field of challenge and opportunity. Kayla's eyes scanned the terrain, taking in every rise, every crevice, every piece of debris. She had survived the first wave, but the arena had many layers, and the next round would test her in ways even she could not yet fully predict. The gates rumbled, signaling the arrival of the second wave. This time, the crowd's excitement intensified. Whispers spread like wildfire. "The Deathworlder girl has bested the first wave. What will she do next? Even seasoned veterans leaned forward, eyes wide, intrigued by the display of calm, calculated skill. Kayla did not respond to their cheers. Her focus was absolute, her mind processing the arena like a living puzzle. Every movement of her opponents, every sound, every shadow was data. On her homeworld, survival depended on observing the smallest details: an animal's pattern, a storm's direction, a predator's approach. Here, it was no different. Observation and patience would be her greatest weapons. From the far gate, the new challengers emerged. There were 5 of them: 2 heavy warriors clad in reinforced armor, a fast striker with dual daggers, a sniper armed with a long-range energy weapon, and a strategist who appeared to be coordinating their attacks. Each had studied her carefully, expecting to exploit any hint of weakness. The first to move was the fast striker. He darted forward like a flash of lightning, aiming for her side. Kayla anticipated his motion. Instead of a direct dodge, she allowed him to pass, then used her momentum to guide him toward a narrow corridor lined with jagged metal. The striker's speed became his weakness. He stumbled over uneven ground and fell into a trap hidden just beneath the surface. The crowd gasped at her precision. Kayla's calmness, her deliberate inaction until the right moment, made her victories appear effortless. It was not effortlessness, it was control, mastery of both mind and body. Next, the 2 heavy warriors charged in unison, their massive shields raised. Kayla studied them carefully. She noticed the way their weight caused their steps to falter slightly on uneven terrain. She picked up a loose piece of metal from the ground and tossed it between them. It clattered loudly. Instinctively, they adjusted their formation, giving her the slight opening she needed. Kayla struck, not with force, but with leverage. She sidestepped the first warrior, guiding him toward the second. Their momentum collided, sending both tumbling backward into a shallow pit. The sound of clanging metal echoed across the arena. Ravik, the leader from the first wave, watched from a distance, his face twisted in disbelief. "She's more than luck," he muttered. "She sees everything before it happens." Kayla didn't pause to notice him. The sniper had found a high vantage point on a broken platform. His weapon hummed as he aimed, prepared to pierce through her defenses. Kayla's eyes flicked toward him. The angle of light reflected off the metal fragments nearby, creating a series of subtle shadows. She used them. With a swift motion, she kicked a small rock toward the sniper's platform. The rock bounced unpredictably, striking a support beam. A metallic groan followed as part of the platform shifted. The sniper lost balance, his aim faltering, and he tumbled backward, landing safely but disoriented. Kayla took a moment to assess her situation. 2 challengers remained, the strategist and a newcomer with a staff-like weapon, longer than Kayla was tall. Both moved cautiously now, aware of her skill. Kayla's mind calculated every possible move they could make. Every subtle twitch in their stance revealed their intentions. The strategist tried to circle her, hoping to cut off escape routes and force her into a corner. Kayla anticipated the maneuver. She moved slightly, then feigned a stumble, guiding him toward a low ridge. As he followed, she twisted subtly, tripping him with a precise kick that sent him sprawling into a metal barrier. Only one remained, the staff wielder. He advanced slowly, testing Kayla's reactions. The crowd watched with bated breath, sensing that this confrontation would be decisive. Kayla's posture was calm, almost meditative, yet every fiber of her body was prepared for action. The staff wielder swung at her with surprising speed. Kayla deflected the strike with a swift movement, using his momentum to step past him. He recovered quickly and swung again. Kayla adjusted, slipping under his attack and pushing him backward. She did not strike with aggression. Instead, she used balance, leverage, and the environment itself to neutralize his strength. A loose panel in the arena's floor shifted under his weight. Kayla nudged it further with her foot, and the staff wielder stumbled. His own weapon got caught briefly in a protruding metal beam, leaving him momentarily vulnerable. Kayla moved in with a series of precise maneuvers, tripping him and using his own momentum to send him sprawling onto the soft sand below. The second wave had fallen. One by one, Kayla's opponents had been defeated, not with brute force, but with intelligence, patience, and precise action. The crowd erupted into cheers, the sound nearly shaking the arena's walls. Whispers of awe spread quickly. She is not just a fighter. She is a master of survival. Kayla did not respond to the applause. Her mind was already focused on what came next. The arena was vast, and the next wave would likely be more dangerous. She could feel subtle changes in the air. Mechanical devices, adjusting, shadows shifting, and the faint hum of energy pulses beneath the surface. The arena was a living test, reacting to her movements and anticipating the next challenge. Her Deathworlder instincts guided her now. Every step, every glance, every breath was deliberate. She moved toward a raised platform near the arena's center, giving herself a vantage point. From here, she could observe the terrain, anticipate attacks, and find openings for her next maneuvers. The third wave approached more strategically. This time, Kayla noticed something different. They moved in formations designed to trap her. They communicated with subtle gestures, showing signs of preparation and training. They were stronger, faster, and more coordinated than any wave before. Kayla's lips curved slightly. This was what she had expected. She thrived under pressure, her mind sharpening in response to every challenge. Humans, she knew, were capable of adaptation beyond the limits of technology and brute strength. It was ingenuity, creativity, and courage that gave them an edge. The first of the third wave lunged from a side corridor. Kayla shifted just enough to let him overextend, then redirected his momentum toward a fallen metal structure. He stumbled, his weapon clattering to the ground. Another attacker tried a flanking maneuver, but Kayla anticipated it. With a quick step and a gentle push, she sent him sliding into a pit trap designed for larger combatants. The strategist of this wave attempted to predict her moves, but Kayla was several steps ahead. She created distractions, used subtle feints, and let her opponent's own confidence work against them. One by one they fell, trapped or disarmed, their coordination unraveling under the pressure of her precise actions. The crowd was on its feet, completely captivated. They had witnessed remarkable feats before, but this was different. Kayla's victories were not loud or flashy. They were calculated, intelligent, and executed with an elegance that fascinated everyone watching. By the time the wave ended, Kayla stood alone again. Her breathing was steady, her body unharmed, her mind alert. The arena was quiet for a moment, as if acknowledging her mastery. She had survived against odds that would have crushed ordinary fighters. Her presence, calm and unwavering, had transformed the arena into a stage where human skill and ingenuity shone brighter than raw power. Kayla did not celebrate. She did not even glance at the crowd. She knew that more challenges awaited. The arena had only begun to test her limits, but for the first time she allowed herself a subtle acknowledgement of her abilities. She had survived, she had adapted, and she had proven that intelligence and observation were as powerful as any weapon. And as she prepared for the next wave, Kayla knew one truth. The arena might be dangerous, the opponents fierce, and the rules merciless. But humans, with their courage, strategy, and adaptability, could overcome even the harshest trials. The arena gates trembled as the crowd hushed. A massive shadow appeared, stretching across the battlefield. Kayla's eyes narrowed, scanning the figure. Towering above the other fighters, the champion of the arena emerged. Vorak, a cybernetically enhanced warrior with armor that gleamed under the artificial sun. Every movement of his heavy limbs carried power, and his weapon, a double-bladed energy staff, buzzed with deadly energy. Vorak's presence alone sent a shiver through the remaining competitors and spectators. He had never been defeated in the grand arena, and most believed he could not be. His reputation was legendary, strength unmatched, reflexes nearly superhuman, and a mind sharpened by countless battles. The announcer's voice trembled with excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen, behold the champion. Dare anyone challenge Vorak?" Kayla did not flinch. She adjusted her stance, her eyes sweeping the arena for every advantage. She had faced waves of skilled opponents, but Vorak was different. His size and strength were extraordinary. His speed and reflexes could overwhelm even the best-trained warrior. Yet Kayla did not feel fear. Her mind, trained in the extremes of her Deathworld home, calculated every possible scenario. Every strike, every movement, every opening had to be anticipated. Vorak stepped forward, the ground trembling beneath his boots. His voice boomed. "You stand here alone, human? You think you can survive against me?" Kayla said nothing. Words were unnecessary. Her silence was her answer. She studied him, noting the slight delay in his swings, the predictable rhythm of his steps, the slight strain on his cybernetic joints when he shifted weight. Even a champion could have weaknesses. She would find them. The first strike came swiftly. Vorak's double-bladed staff swung like lightning, aiming to crush her immediately. Kayla leaped lightly, letting the staff's momentum pass beneath her. Sparks flew as the weapon scraped against the jagged rocks behind her. She moved with precision, her body responding instinctively to every threat. Vorak's next attack was faster, more unpredictable. Kayla ducked under one blade, then twisted, narrowly avoiding the other. She could feel the raw power behind each strike. One misstep, and she could be thrown across the arena, or worse. But Kayla had trained for danger her entire life. On her homeworld, storms could crush stone, predators could tear flesh, and the environment itself was a constant threat. Her body was strong, her reflexes sharp, and her mind always 3 steps ahead. She would not falter now. The crowd watched, in awe as the two clashed. Vorak swung with force and speed while Kayla moved with controlled precision. Each strike she dodged, each step she calculated, drew gasps from the audience. They had never seen a human move with such calm mastery. Against a champion of this magnitude, Vorak roared in frustration. "You are clever, human, but cleverness will not save you." Kayla did not answer. Instead, she used her environment. A piece of broken metal from a previous wave caught her eye. She kicked it toward Vorak's path. It skidded across the floor, forcing him to adjust mid-strike. That slight hesitation was all she needed. She ducked under his swing and used her momentum to leap onto a small ridge. From this elevated position, she could see his next movements more clearly. Vorak swung again, now furious. His attacks became heavier, more forceful. Kayla felt the vibrations through the ground as each strike landed near her. She moved with fluid precision, redirecting energy, avoiding brute force and turning his strength against him. The audience began to whisper in awe. She is not just surviving, she is controlling the fight. Kayla noticed something important. Vorak relied heavily on predictable patterns. His strikes, though powerful, followed a rhythm. She could anticipate the timing. Using her Deathworlder instincts, she began to set subtle traps, not physical, but mental, feints, pauses, and slight movements designed to mislead him. One strike came faster than the others, and Kayla jumped, narrowly avoiding the spinning blade. She rolled behind a metal panel and waited. Vorak advanced, swinging with a force that could shatter rock. But Kayla had read his rhythm. She sidestepped, letting him overcommit, then used her hand to nudge a loose piece of debris. It clattered loudly, drawing his attention. As he adjusted to the distraction, Kayla struck, not with force, but with precision. She twisted a loose metal rod, tripping him just enough to throw him off balance. Vorak stumbled, his staff clanging against the arena floor. For the first time, the champion had lost control. The crowd erupted in excitement. Whispers turned into cheers. "She did it!" someone shouted. "The Deathworlder girl is holding her own." Vorak recovered quickly, his eyes narrowing. "You are skilled, but skill alone will not defeat me." Kayla's mind raced. She did not underestimate him. She respected his power, his experience, and his training. But she knew something he did not. Humans thrived where strength alone failed. Creativity, patience, and observation could overcome even the most powerful adversary. The fight intensified. Vorak swung his staff with devastating force, aiming to crush Kayla in a single blow. She ducked, rolled, and adjusted her position, forcing him into a corner of the arena. Using a combination of leverage and balance, she guided him past a jagged rock formation. Vorak's own momentum caused him to stumble slightly. Kayla acted quickly. She moved silently, her body low, avoiding his attacks while placing him in positions where his strength became a liability. Each move was calculated, each step purposeful. She did not strike with aggression, she redirected, misled, and weakened. The arena itself seemed to respond to the tension. Sparks flew, shadows shifted, and subtle vibrations ran through the ground. Kayla noticed every detail, every subtle change, adjusting her strategy as she fought. Her Deathworlder instincts merged perfectly with her human ingenuity. Vorak, frustrated and surprised, swung faster, trying to overwhelm her, but Kayla remained calm. She allowed him to tire himself, using his own power against him. One miscalculated swing sent him slightly off balance. Kayla moved in, guiding his staff into a collision. With the jagged terrain, a loud metallic clang echoed and Vorak staggered. The crowd erupted in cheers and gasps. Even seasoned arena veterans were astonished. No one had seen a human fight with such mastery against the champion. Kayla's calm, precise movements, her ability to anticipate and adapt, had turned the tide. Vorak roared, swinging wildly. But Kayla anticipated his patterns. She feinted, ducked, and redirected his energy again. Finally, with one precise maneuver, she guided his staff into the arena floor, tripping him forward. He fell heavily onto the sand, the sound echoing across the arena. For a moment, silence fell. The champion had been bested, not by brute force, but by intelligence, strategy, and human resilience. The crowd erupted into applause, cheering, shouting, and stamping their feet. They had witnessed something extraordinary, a human proving that courage, creativity, and adaptability could overcome even the strongest opponent. Kayla stood silently, her breathing steady. She did not celebrate. She had not fought for glory. She had fought to survive and to prove the potential of humanity. The arena had tested her limits and she had risen above them. Vorak slowly rose to his knees, nodding in acknowledgement. His expression showed respect, a rare gesture from a champion. "You are remarkable," he admitted. "I underestimated you." Kayla's eyes met his for a brief moment. No words were spoken, yet a mutual understanding passed between them. Strength alone was not enough. Observation, intelligence, and courage mattered just as much. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Ladies and gentlemen, behold the Deathworlder girl. She has faced the champion and emerged victorious. Humanity has proven its strength." Kayla did not turn to the crowd. She walked calmly across the arena, her eyes focused on the gates ahead. More challenges might come, but she had proven a fundamental truth. Human ingenuity, courage, and resilience were forces to be reckoned with. The crowd continued to cheer, but Kayla's mind was already moving forward. She had survived the champion, but the arena was not done. Other challenges awaited, and she would face them with the same calm determination that had carried her this far. Her first victory against Vorak had not just been a triumph in the arena, it was a declaration. Humans, even from the harshest worlds, could endure, adapt, and overcome. They were clever, resourceful, and capable of incredible feats. And Kayla, the Deathworlder girl, was the living proof of that truth. The dust from the arena floor had barely settled when Kayla stood tall, her gaze calm and unwavering. The echoes of the crowd's cheers still bounced across the arena, but she paid them little attention. Her mind was already calculating the remaining challenges, the obstacles she had yet to face, and the lessons she had learned from every wave and every opponent. Though she had defeated Vorak, the champion, Kayla knew the arena always had one more test in store. It was not just strength or skill that determined survival. It was endurance, intelligence, and the ability to remain focused when every other instinct begged for haste. The audience had seen her victories, but they did not. yet know the full measure of her human potential. A low rumble sounded from the far gate. The next wave emerged, this one different from all the previous waves. They were larger, more coordinated, and clearly trained for extreme combat. Some wore heavy armor, others carried sophisticated energy weapons, and a few moved with agility that rivaled Kayla's own speed. They had been sent not just to defeat her, but to overwhelm her entirely. Kayla's eyes flicked over them, noting their positions, movements, and the spaces between them. Her stance remained relaxed, yet ready, each muscle poised to react instantly. She did not attack immediately. She allowed them to approach, studying patterns, anticipating strikes, and calculating openings. The first charge came from a heavily armored warrior wielding a massive hammer. Kayla sidestepped, letting the brute force of his attack carry him. Forward. As he stumbled, she nudged a loose metal panel, sending him off balance and causing him to crash into a pit trap previously unnoticed. The crowd gasped at the precision of her movements, whispering among themselves in awe. From the left, two faster opponents attempted to flank her. Kayla feigned a misstep, drawing them closer. When they moved in unison, she used their momentum against them, guiding them into each other and sending both tumbling across the jagged arena floor. Her movements were fluid, natural, and incredibly efficient. Another fighter tried to strike from above, leaping from a high platform. Kayla rolled forward, narrowly avoiding the attack, and used her foot to trip him as he landed, sending him sprawling. One by one, she reduced their numbers, her strategy flawless and her control complete. The crowd erupted again, cheering wildly for her. They had never seen such skill. A human facing impossible odds, prevailing not with sheer strength but with intelligence, observation, and precise execution. Whispers of admiration grew louder. She is the Deathworlder. She is unstoppable. Kayla remained calm, however. She did not fight for applause or recognition. Each move was a step toward survival and mastery. She was a student of extreme worlds, trained to endure what others could not imagine. She knew that every opponent, no matter how skilled, could be outsmarted with patience and calculation. The final two opponents approached cautiously. One was a strategist, trying to predict her every move. The other was a hybrid fighter, combining speed and strength in a dangerous balance. Kayla studied them carefully. She noticed their subtle gestures, the way they communicated with eye contact, and the small delays in their reactions. Each detail became a thread in the web she was weaving. With a sudden burst of movement, Kayla acted. She feigned vulnerability, drawing the hybrid fighter toward her. At the same time, she manipulated the environment, a loose piece of metal, a hidden slope, and uneven terrain, to her advantage. The hybrid stumbled at just the right moment, and Kayla used his momentum to redirect him into a pit trap. The strategist attempted to intervene, moving quickly to adjust the battlefield. Kayla anticipated this. She shifted her weight, causing a loose panel beneath him to tilt. The strategist lost his balance, falling to the arena floor in a heap. The crowd erupted into uncontainable cheers. They had witnessed something extraordinary. A human girl had survived multiple waves, outsmarted every opponent, and even defeated the champion. Her victories were not mere luck. They were proof of the human mind's ingenuity, the power of observation, and the strength of adaptability. Kayla's breathing remained steady. Her focus had never wavered. She knew that this final wave, though intense, had also been a lesson. Each challenge had honed her skills. Each opponent had revealed something new about strategy, endurance, and human potential. The arena, with all its dangers, had become her proving ground. Vorak, the defeated champion, approached her quietly, his massive form casting a shadow across the arena floor. He knelt slightly, not in submission but in respect. "You are remarkable," he said. "You have shown strength beyond skill. You have proven that humans are not to be underestimated." Kayla inclined her head slightly in acknowledgement. She had no desire for personal glory, no need to boast. Her purpose was survival, mastery, and proving a truth she had always known. Humans, even from the harshest worlds, could endure, adapt, and triumph. The crowd continued to cheer. but Kayla's mind was already moving forward. The arena was only one challenge among countless others. Yet she had sent a clear message. Human intelligence, creativity, and courage were forces that could overcome even the greatest obstacles. She walked toward the arena gates, her movements calm and deliberate. The cheers followed her, but she did not respond outwardly. Inside, she felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. She had faced the champion, overcome impossible waves, and survived with skill and strategy. Every opponent, every challenge had been a test, and she had passed. Outside the arena, other competitors looked on with new respect. Many had doubted her, expecting weakness, but Kayla had demonstrated that appearance was no measure of strength. It was courage, intelligence, and adaptability that defined a true warrior. As she left the arena floor, Kayla glanced back one final time. The sand, the metal, the pits, and the shadows had all been a part of her journey, shaping her, challenging her, and ultimately proving her human potential. She did not need applause or recognition. The experience itself, the mastery of survival and strategy, was enough. In the stands, the spectators continued to cheer. Stories of the Deathworlder girl would spread across worlds, inspiring others to believe in human potential, resilience, and ingenuity. Even seasoned warriors whispered to each other, amazed by what they had witnessed. "She is the future of human strength," one muttered. Kayla, however, had no time for titles or praise. Her journey was far from over. The arena had been a proving ground, but the galaxy was vast, filled with challenges and opportunities. She had survived, she had adapted, and she had triumphed, but she knew that survival was only the beginning. The gates of the arena opened fully, revealing the transport waiting beyond. Kayla walked toward it, each step deliberate and calm. She had shown the galaxy that humans, even from the harshest death worlds, could overcome impossible odds. Her victories were not just personal. They were a testament to the strength, courage, and ingenuity of humanity as a whole. As she boarded the transport, Kayla allowed herself a moment of reflection. She had faced impossible challenges, observed carefully, and adapted perfectly. Every opponent had tested her skills, and every wave had strengthened her resolve. The lessons she had learned here would carry her through countless other trials across the stars. The transport lifted off the arena floor, carrying her above the world that had challenged her so fiercely. From her vantage point, Kayla could see the sprawling arena, the cheering crowd, and the vast expanse beyond. The galaxy awaited, filled with challenges, opportunities, and dangers, but she was ready. For the first time, Kayla allowed herself a small, quiet smile. She had survived, she had triumphed, and she had proven a truth she had always believed: humans with courage, intelligence, and determination could rise above any challenge. The arena world faded below her, but the legend of the Deathworlder girl, the human who stayed calm while chaos raged, who outsmarted every opponent, and who triumphed against impossible odds, would spread across the galaxy. She had faced the ultimate tests and emerged victorious, not through brute force alone, but through strategy, patience, and the indomitable human spirit. Kayla looked ahead at the stars. The journey was far from over. New challenges, new worlds, and new tests awaited her. But one truth remained clear. She, a Deathworlder girl, had shown what humanity could achieve when faced with the impossible. And so, with calm determination and unwavering focus, Kayla moved forward into the unknown. A living testament to human ingenuity, courage, and resilience, a true hero in the galaxy.